Captain Rebecca Stone had seen many things in her 20 years of space travel, but nothing had prepared her for this moment. Standing on the bridge of the research vessel Pathfinder, she watched through the main viewport as thousands of asteroids drifted past like ancient monuments in the darkness. Each one was bigger than a city block, spinning slowly in the endless black of space. "Distance to the research station?" she asked, her voice calm despite the growing concern in her chest. Lieutenant David Park checked his instruments. 42 hours at current speed, Captain. We're making good time through the belt. The Pathfinder was humanity's pride and joy. 300 meters long, with gleaming white hull panels and massive engines that could push them faster than light itself. 47 of Earth's best and brightest were aboard, heading to establish the first permanent human outpost beyond Neptune. Scientists, engineers, doctors, and pilots, all volunteers who had left their families behind for this historic mission. Dr. Lisa Chun floated into the bridge, her magnetic boots clicking against the metal floor. As the mission's lead scientist, she had been monitoring their route for weeks. "Captain, I'm seeing some unusual readings ahead. Solar activity is picking up, and there's something else." Rebecca turned to face her. "What kind of something else?" "The gravitational sensors are going crazy. It's like space itself is bending in ways it shouldn't." Lisa pulled up a holographic display showing swirling patterns of energy. "I've never seen anything like this in 20 years of deep space research." Chief Engineer Tommy Rodriguez joined them, wiping grease from his hands with a rag. "Captain, I hate to add to the bad news, but we're getting strange readings from the FTL drive. 2. The exotic matter containment is fluctuating." Rebecca felt her stomach tighten. A faster-than-light drive was what made their mission possible. Without it, they were just another slow-moving ship in the vast emptiness of space. "How bad is it?" "Not critical yet, but if these gravitational waves keep hitting us, we might have problems." The bridge fell quiet except for the soft hum of life support systems. Through the viewport, the asteroids seemed to be moving faster now, as if the ship was being pulled forward by some invisible force. Rebecca had been trained for many emergencies, but this situation wasn't in any manual. "All hands, this is the captain," she announced over the ship's communication system. "We're experiencing some unusual space weather. Everyone should secure loose items and prepare for possible turbulence." Dr. Kevin Walsh, the mission's physicist, rushed onto the bridge with a tablet in his hands. His usually neat hair was messy, and there was worry in his eyes. "Captain, you need to see this. The solar storm isn't just any ordinary storm. It's massive, bigger than anything we've recorded in the past 50 years. The main screen changed to show a wall of charged particles racing toward them like a golden tsunami. It stretched across millions of miles, crackling with energy that could fry every electronic system on the ship. "Time to impact?" Rebecca asked. 18 minutes? Can we outrun it?" Tommy shook his head. "Not without using the FTL drive, and in these gravitational conditions, that's like playing with fire." Rebecca looked around at her crew. These people had trusted her to lead them safely to their destination. They had families back on Earth waiting for regular updates. Children who expected their parents to come home in 5 years when the mission was complete. "Options?" she asked. Lisa studied her readings. "We could try to hide behind one of the larger asteroids, but that storm is so big it'll hit us anyway. We could shut down all non-essential systems and ride it out," suggested David. "The gravitational anomalies are getting stronger," Kevin added, his voice tense. "If we get caught in one of those gravity wells while the storm hits us—" He didn't need to finish. Everyone on the bridge understood. The combination of the solar storm and the strange gravitational forces could tear their ship apart, or throw them so far off course that they'd never find their way back to known space. 15 minutes to impact," David announced. The asteroids outside were definitely moving faster now. Some of the smaller ones were actually changing direction, pulled by the same invisible forces affecting the Pathfinder. Rebecca watched a chunk of rock the size of a house suddenly accelerate and disappear into the darkness. "Captain," Tommy's voice was urgent now. The FTL drive is showing red alerts across the board. The exotic matter is becoming unstable. Ken, you shut it down safely? I'm trying, but the gravitational waves are interfering with the containment field. It's like trying to hold water in a broken bucket. Dr. Jennifer Hayes, the mission's medical officer, contacted the bridge. Captain, I'm getting reports of people feeling dizzy and nauseous throughout the ship. Whatever's happening out there is affecting us inside too. 10 minutes to storm impact, David called out. The bridge lights flickered. For a moment, the artificial gravity seemed to shift, making everyone grab onto something solid. Through the viewport, the space around them began to shimmer like heat waves rising from hot pavement. The fabric of space-time is literally bending around us, Kevin said in amazement and terror. This is theoretical physics becoming very real. Tommy, status on that drive shutdown? Working on it, Captain, but the computer systems are getting confused by all this gravitational interference. The ship doesn't know which way is up anymore. Rebecca made a decision that would haunt her for years to come. All hands, brace for emergency procedures. Shut down everything except life support and basic navigation. 5 minutes to impact. The Pathfinder's lights dimmed as non-essential systems powered down. The constant background hum of machinery grew quieter, making the space around them feel even more vast and dangerous. The golden wall of the solar storm now filled half their view, crackling with energy that made the hair on everyone's arms stand up despite being inside the ship. FTL drive is still not responding, Tommy reported, sweat beading on his forehead. The exotic matter containment is at critical levels. 2 minutes. Captain, Lisa's voice was barely a whisper. Look at the navigation display. Rebecca turned to see their position markers spinning wildly. According to the instruments, they were simultaneously in 17 different locations, none of which matched their actual coordinates. The gravitational anomalies had completely scrambled their ability to know where they were. 1 minute to impact. All hands, brace for. The storm hit them like the fist of an angry god. Every light on the ship flickered and died. Emergency power kicked in, bathing everything in red light. The artificial gravity failed for several seconds, sending loose objects floating through the air before slamming back down when it returned. And then in the midst of the chaos, the FTL drive exploded. Not literally exploded, that would have destroyed the ship instantly. Instead, it released all its contained exotic matter in a burst of energy that bent space around the Pathfinder like a soap bubble. For one terrifying moment, the ship existed in multiple dimensions at once, when the energy finally dissipated. And the emergency systems restored basic power. Rebecca found herself looking out at a completely unfamiliar starfield. The asteroids were gone, the solar storm was gone. Even the sun itself was nowhere to be seen. Report, she said, though her voice came out as barely more than a croak. Navigation is completely offline, David replied, his face pale in the red. Emergency lighting? I can't identify a single star or landmark. It's like we're not in our galaxy anymore. Communications? Dead. The storm fried most of our long-range equipment. FTL drive? Tommy's voice was hollow. Gone, Captain. Completely destroyed. We're stuck wherever we are. Rebecca looked around at her crew, 47 people who had signed up for a research mission and instead found themselves lost in the deepest reaches of space, farther from home than any human had ever been. But in their eyes, she didn't see panic. She saw determination. Then we figure out where we are, she said firmly. And we find a way home. 3 months had passed since the Pathfinder disappeared into the unknown, and Captain Rebecca Stone was starting to understand what true desperation felt like. She stood in the ship's main corridor watching Chief Engineer Tommy Rodriguez work on yet another failing system. The overhead lights flickered constantly now, casting strange shadows that made everyone look like ghosts of their former selves. How long do we have on life support? She asked, though she dreaded the answer. Tommy wiped sweat from his forehead with the back of his hand. At current consumption, maybe 6 more months? But that's if nothing else breaks down. He gestured to the wall panel he was repairing. These systems weren't designed to run this long without proper maintenance facilities. The ship had become a maze of jury-rigged repairs and temporary fixes. Pipes and cables ran along the walls where they had never been before. The elegant research vessel that had left Earth was slowly transforming into something that looked more like a mechanical nightmare. Dr. Lisa Shun approached them, her tablet showing another set of concerning readings. "Captain, I need to show you something. The radiation levels in sections C and D are getting worse." Rebecca felt her heart sink. "How much worse?" "Bad enough that I can't recommend anyone spend more than 2 hours a day in those areas. The storm damaged our shielding more than we initially thought." Lieutenant David Park joined their grim conversation. "That's where most of our food storage is located. If we can't access those areas safely, we'll run out of supplies even faster." Rebecca looked at the faces around her. These people had volunteered for a 5-year mission, not a death sentence in deep space. Over the past 3 months, she had watched the hope slowly drain from their eyes as one system after another failed. The medical bay doors opened, and Dr. Jennifer Hayes walked out with exhaustion written across her face. She pulled off her surgical gloves and threw them into a disposal unit that probably wouldn't be emptied for months. "How is Rodriguez?" Rebecca asked, referring to Tommy's younger brother who had been helping with repairs in the damaged sections. "Stable, but the radiation exposure is worse than I hoped. He's the 4th case this month." Jennifer's voice was flat with professional concern. "Captain, we need to face facts. If we keep sending people into those sections, we're going to lose more crew members." Tommy's jaw tightened. "My brother knew the risks. We all did. But if we don't fix these systems, we're all dead anyway." The conversation was interrupted by an excited voice over the intercom. "Captain Stone, please report to the science lab immediately. Dr. Walsh has discovered something incredible." Rebecca and her team made their way through the ship's narrow corridors. The artificial gravity was running at only 70% power to conserve energy, making their steps feel strangely light. As they walked, crew members they passed looked up with hollow expressions, wondering if this would be another false hope or genuine breakthrough. The science lab was cluttered with equipment that had been moved from damaged sections of the ship. Dr. Kevin Walsh stood before a massive display screen showing swirling patterns of light and color that seemed to dance across the monitor. "Captain, look at this," Kevin said, his voice filled with excitement for the first time in months. "Remember those gravitational anomalies that threw us off course? Well, they're not just random space weather. There's a pattern to them, and more importantly, there's energy we can potentially harvest." Lisa leaned forward to study the display. "What kind of energy?" "Unlike anything we've seen before, the space around us is filled with exotic matter. Not the artificial stuff we use in FTL drives, but naturally occurring particles that seem to exist in multiple dimensions at once." Tommy scratched his head. "English, please, Doc." Kevin grinned, the first genuine smile anyone had seen from him in weeks. "It means we're sitting in the middle of the galaxy's greatest power source. If we can figure out how to tap into it, we could have unlimited energy." "That's a big if," Rebecca said cautiously. She had learned not to get too excited about potential solutions. They had chased several dead ends over the past 3 months. "There's more," Kevin continued. "I've been analyzing the mineral composition of nearby asteroids using our long-range sensors. Some of these rocks contain materials that don't exist anywhere in Earth's solar system. Metals that are lighter than aluminum but stronger than titanium. Crystals that seem to store energy naturally." Dr. Jennifer Hayes looked skeptical. "Even if all of this is true, how does it help us? We can't exactly walk outside and start mining asteroids." "Actually, we can," Tommy said slowly, a new light appearing in his eyes. "The ship's maintenance pods are still functional. We could modify them for mining operations." Rebecca felt something she hadn't experienced in months, a tiny spark of hope. "What are you thinking?" "We stop trying to just survive and start trying to thrive," Tommy explained, his engineering mind already working on the problems. "We use these exotic materials to rebuild our ship from the inside out, make it better than it was before." Lisa pulled up another set of readings on her tablet. "The energy signatures Kevin is tracking are incredibly stable. If we could build collectors, we might be able to power the ship indefinitely. But that would mean completely redesigning our power systems, David pointed out. We'd essentially be building a new ship. With what crew? Jennifer asked. We have 43 people left, and 4 of them are too sick from radiation exposure to do heavy work. The room fell silent. Rebecca could hear the ship's struggling life support systems humming in the background, a constant reminder of their precarious situation. But for the first time since they had been lost in space, she could also hear something else, the sound of people thinking instead of just worrying. How long would it take? She asked. Kevin and Tommy exchanged glances. Months, Tommy admitted. Maybe a year or more. We'd have to work in shifts, learning as we go. And there's no guarantee it would work. And if we don't try? Rebecca asked. The answer hung in the air without being spoken. If they didn't try, they would all die slowly as their ship continued to break down around them. Rebecca walked to the observation window and looked out at the alien stars that had become their unwelcome companions. Somewhere among those distant lights was Earth, unreachably far away. Her crew was looking to her for leadership, but the weight of their survival was crushing. Captain, Lisa said softly, I've been thinking about something else. If we can master these technologies, if we can really harness this exotic energy and work with these new materials— What? Rebecca asked. We wouldn't just be surviving. We'd be bringing back technology that could change everything for humanity. Our families, our entire species, they could benefit from what we learn out here, Tommy nodded enthusiastically. Imagine returning to Earth with energy systems that make fusion power look like a campfire. Materials that could revolutionize space travel. If we return to Earth, David corrected quietly. Rebecca turned back to face her crew. These people had already sacrificed so much. They had watched friends suffer from radiation poisoning. They had worked 18-hour days trying to keep failing systems operational. They had every right to give up hope. Instead, she saw determination in their faces. All right, she said, her voice stronger than it had been in months. We're not just going to survive this. We're going to use it. Tommy, I want detailed plans for mining operations within the week. Kevin and Lisa, figure out how to build energy collectors. Jennifer, work with whoever you need to establish better radiation protocols. She paused, looking each of them in the eye. We came out here to establish humanity's first permanent outpost beyond Neptune. Well, congratulations, we're farther out than anyone planned, but we're still going to build something incredible. For the first time since the disaster, the crew of the Pathfinder had a purpose beyond mere survival. They were going to transform their prison into humanity's greatest workshop, and their suffering into the foundation for technologies that could change the galaxy forever. The real work was just beginning. 1 year had passed since Captain Rebecca Stone made the decision that changed everything. Standing in what used to be the ship's cargo bay, she barely recognized the Pathfinder anymore. The sterile white walls had been replaced with panels made from asteroid minerals that gleamed like liquid silver. Energy conduits pulsed with soft blue light, carrying power from the exotic matter collectors that now dotted the ship's hull like mechanical flowers reaching toward alien stars. Captain, you need to see this, called out Tommy Rodriguez from across the bay. He was standing next to a device that looked like it belonged in a science fiction movie rather than on a research vessel. The machine was about the size of a refrigerator. Covered in crystalline structures that seemed to bend light around them, Rebecca walked over, her boots clicking against the new flooring. The sound was different now, sharper, more musical. The asteroid materials they had learned to work with had properties that still amazed her every day. What am I looking at, Tommy? Our new propulsion prototype, he said with a grin that made him look 10 years younger. Dr. Walsh finally cracked the mathematics behind zero-point energy manipulation. Dr. Kevin Walsh emerged from behind the device, his hands stained with some kind of luminescent paste that the crew had started calling stardust because of the way it sparkled. Over the past year, Kevin had transformed from a theoretical physicist into something that looked more like a mad scientist from old movies. Captain, this is bigger than anything we imagined, Kevin said, his voice trembling with excitement. We're not just harvesting exotic energy anymore. We're learning to reshape space itself. Rebecca had seen enough false hopes over the past months to remain cautious, but she couldn't ignore the evidence around her. The ship's energy readings were now 3 times higher than when they had left Earth, despite running systems that should have been impossible with their original technology. Lieutenant David Park joined them, carrying a tablet that showed the ship's current specifications. Captain, I've been running diagnostics all morning. Our hull integrity is now rated at 400% of Earth standard. The new materials we've integrated don't just resist damage, they actually get stronger under stress. Show me, Rebecca said. David pulled up a holographic display that made her breath catch in her throat. The Pathfinder's outline appeared in the air between them, but it looked nothing like the ship that had left Earth 18 months ago. The hull was sleeker, with organic curves that seemed to flow like water frozen in time. Crystalline structures jutted from various points, each one serving as both an energy collector and a structural reinforcement. The armor plating is made from compressed asteroid metals fused with exotic matter, David explained. It's lighter than our original hull, but can withstand impacts that would have torn the old ship apart. Dr. Lisa Chun approached their group, floating slightly off the ground using one of their new personal gravity manipulators. It was a device the size of a wristwatch that could adjust local gravity fields, making heavy lifting and complex repairs much easier. Captain, I have an update on the mining operations, Lisa said as she gently lowered herself to the floor. Team 3 just returned from the mineral-rich asteroid we've been calling Lucky 7. They brought back enough exotic crystals to power our energy grid for the next 5 years. Rebecca shook her head in amazement. A year ago we were rationing power to keep the lights on. Now you're telling me we have a 5-year surplus? More than that, Kevin interjected. The crystals don't just store energy, they generate it by interacting with the exotic matter field that permeates this region of space. As long as we stay here, we have unlimited power. But we're not staying here forever, Rebecca reminded him. Our goal is still to get home. About that, Tommy said, his expression growing serious. I think we need to talk about what going home really means now. He led them to another section of the transformed cargo bay, where a massive viewing screen showed the space around their ship. But instead of the empty darkness they had grown used to, the display revealed a bustling network of activity. Mining drones moved between asteroids like mechanical bees, harvesting materials, and returning to automated processing stations that the crew had built over the past months. We're not just survivors anymore, Captain, Tommy continued. We're colonists. We've built the most advanced space-based civilization in human history right here in the middle of nowhere. Dr. Jennifer Hayes joined their conversation, her medical scanner showing readings that would have been impossible with Earth. Technology. Captain, I need to report something that's been developing over the past few months. The crew's health isn't just stable, it's improving. Improving how? The exotic radiation that we were so worried about? It turns out it's not harmful in the long term. In fact, it seems to be enhancing our cellular regeneration. People are healing faster, thinking more clearly, and showing increased physical strength. Rebecca felt a chill run down her spine. Are you saying the radiation is changing? U.S.? Not changing us into something else, Jennifer clarified quickly, making us better versions of ourselves. Enhanced humans, if you will. The crew members who were sick from radiation exposure are now healthier than they were when we left Earth. Lisa pulled up another display showing the crew's current projects. Captain, look at what we've accomplished. We've developed faster-than-light communication using quantum-entangled crystals. Our manufacturing capabilities exceed anything on Earth. We've learned to manipulate gravity, energy, and matter at the molecular level. And we did it all out of necessity, David added. No committees, no bureaucracy, no arguments about funding. Just 43 people working together to survive and thrive. Rebecca walked to the main viewing port and looked out at their domain. What had once seemed like an empty wasteland of space now looked like humanity's greatest achievement. Structures built from exotic materials floated between asteroids, connected by energy bridges that sparkled like chains of diamonds. Mining operations worked around the clock, tended by both humans and the sophisticated robots they had learned to build. "Tommy, how long would it take to build a ship capable of returning to Earth?" she asked. "With our new technologies, maybe 6 months?" But Captain ... he paused, choosing his words carefully. "The ship we could build wouldn't just be capable of reaching Earth. It would be the most advanced vessel in human history." Kevin stepped forward. "There's something else we need to consider. The knowledge we've gained out here. The technologies we've developed, they could revolutionize life on Earth. Clean, unlimited energy. Materials stronger than anything in our solar system, medical techniques that could extend human lifespan by decades. But there's a problem," Lisa said quietly. "If we return to Earth with this technology, how do we explain where it came from? How do we integrate discoveries that are centuries ahead of current human science?" Rebecca turned back to face her crew. These weren't the same people who had left Earth on a simple research mission. They had been transformed by their experiences, just like their ship. They had become something new, pioneers who had pushed the boundaries of human knowledge further than anyone had thought possible. "There's another consideration," Jennifer added. "The crew is starting to form families out here. 3 couples have gotten married in the past 6 months, and we have 2 pregnancies. This isn't just a workplace anymore, it's home." "Are you suggesting we don't return to Earth?" Rebecca asked. "I'm suggesting we have choices now that we didn't have a year ago," Tommy replied. "We could return as heroes bringing revolutionary technology. We could establish a permanent colony here and become humanity's first interstellar outpost. Or we could do both, send some people back while others stay to continue our work." Rebecca looked around at the faces of her crew. A year ago, these people had been scientists and engineers focused on their individual specialties. Now they were inventors, builders, and explorers who had learned to work together in ways that seemed almost magical. "What do you all want to do?" she asked. The answer surprised her. Instead of the desperate longing for home she had expected, she saw thoughtful consideration in their eyes. These people had found something in the depths of space that they hadn't known they were looking for: purpose, community, and the chance to build something truly extraordinary. "I think," Lisa said slowly, "we need to decide what's best for humanity." "Not just what's best for us," Rebecca nodded. The lost ship had indeed become something stronger than ever, but now they faced their greatest challenge yet, deciding how to use that strength to benefit not just themselves, but their entire species. The transformation was complete, but their most important journey was just beginning. 2 years after their transformation began, Captain Rebecca Stone found herself staring at something that should have been impossible. The massive structure floating before the Pathfinder stretched for miles in every direction, its dark metal surface covered in symbols that seemed to shift and change when she wasn't looking directly at them. "How long has it been there?" she asked Lieutenant David Park, who was running every scanning device they had at the mysterious object. "That's the strange part, Captain. According to our long-range sensors, it wasn't there yesterday. It's like it just appeared overnight." David's voice carried a mixture of excitement and concern that had become common among the crew. When they encountered something new, Dr. Kevin Walsh floated beside them in the observation deck, his personal gravity manipulator allowing him to move freely as he studied the readings on his tablet. "Captain, this thing is massive. Our scans show it's at least 10 miles long and 3 miles wide. But here's the really weird part. It's not solid." "What do you mean, not solid?" "The internal structure is hollow, like it was designed to be explored. There are corridors, chambers, and what look like docking bays. It's almost like—" Kevin paused, searching for the right words. "Like someone built a space station and then abandoned it." Tommy Rodriguez joined them from the engineering section, his hands still glowing slightly from working with the exotic materials that had become part of their daily routine. "Captain, I've been analyzing the power signatures from that thing. It's been dead for a long time, maybe thousands of years, but the technology is still functioning on some basic level. Rebecca felt her heart racing. In 2 years of exploring this region of space, they had found amazing materials and energy sources, but nothing that suggested intelligent life. Now they were looking at undeniable proof that someone else had been here long before humanity ever dreamed of traveling between stars. Is it safe to approach? She asked. Dr. Jennifer Hayes spoke up from her position at the medical scanner. I'm not detecting any harmful radiation or biological threats. Whatever built this thing, they're long gone. That doesn't mean it's safe, Tommy warned. We have no idea what kind of defenses or automated systems might still be active. Rebecca looked around at her crew. These people had become experts at taking calculated risks over the past 2 years. They had learned to mine asteroids, build impossible technologies, and survive in conditions that would have killed them when they first arrived. But this was different. This was contact with an alien civilization, even if that civilization was extinct. We investigate, she decided, but carefully. Tommy, prepare a small exploration team. Kevin, I want you to focus on understanding their technology. Lisa, document everything we find. Dr. Lisa Shun nodded from her position at the science station. Captain, I'm already detecting some interesting patterns in those symbols on the hull. They're not random decoration. They look like some kind of information storage system. Information about what? That's what we need to find out. 6 hours. Later, Rebecca found herself aboard one of their modified exploration shuttles, approaching what appeared to be a docking bay on the alien structure. The bay was large enough to hold 20 ships the size of the Pathfinder, but it was completely empty except for strange crystalline formations that line the walls. Atmosphere inside the bay is showing as breathable, reported Tommy from the pilot's seat. Oxygen, nitrogen, even the pressure is almost identical to Earth normal. How is that possible? Rebecca asked. Maybe it's not a coincidence, suggested Kevin. Maybe whoever built this place breathed the same kind of air we do. The shuttle touched down on a surface that looked like polished black glass, but felt solid enough to support their weight. As the crew stepped out of their ship, Rebecca noticed that their footsteps echoed strangely, as if the walls were designed to carry sound in specific ways. Captain, look at this, Lisa called out, pointing to one of the crystalline formations on the wall. As she approached it, the crystal began to glow with a soft blue light, and the symbols carved into its surface started to move and rearrange themselves. It's responding to our presence, Kevin observed, pulling out his scanner. The crystals are some kind of interactive information system. They're trying to communicate with us. Rebecca felt a chill run down her spine. Communicate how? I'm not sure yet, but Kevin's eyes widened as he studied his readings. Captain, these crystals are broadcasting directly into our translation systems. They're somehow learning our language by analyzing our computer databases. Before Rebecca could respond, the crystal Lisa was standing near projected a holographic image into the air. The image showed a star map with thousands of points of light, connected by lines that formed a complex network spanning the galaxy. It's showing us trade routes, Lisa breathed. This isn't just one civilization, it's dozens of them, all connected through some kind of galactic community. More crystals around the docking bay began to activate, each one projecting different images. Rebecca saw star charts, technical diagrams, and what looked like historical records of different alien species working together on massive construction projects. Tommy, are you seeing this? She asked through her communicator. Copy that, Captain. I'm also seeing something else. This structure isn't just a space station, it's a library, a repository of knowledge from multiple civilizations. The team spent the next several hours moving deeper into the structure, discovering chamber after chamber filled with information crystals. Each room seemed to focus on a different aspect of galactic civilization: science, technology, culture, history, and philosophy. Captain, you need to see this, Kevin called from what appeared to be a central chamber. The room was massive, with a domed ceiling that showed a real-time view of the galaxy. In the center stood a pedestal holding a crystal formation that was different from all the others. This one pulsed with a warm golden light dot. As the team approached the central crystal, it projected an image that made them all stop in their tracks. The hologram showed a being that was unmistakably humanoid. 2 arms, 2 legs, a head with what looked like eyes. But the being was taller than a human, with elongated limbs and skin that seemed to shimmer like water. The holographic being began to speak, and somehow, impossibly, they could understand the words. Greetings, young travelers. If you are seeing this message, it means your species has reached the level of development necessary to find and enter our repositories of knowledge. We are the keepers, and we have waited long for you to arrive. Rebecca felt her legs go weak. This was actually happening. They were receiving a message from an alien civilization. The holographic keeper continued. Long ago, our alliance of species explored the galaxy, sharing knowledge and working together to unlock the secrets of the universe. But we knew that our time was limited. Eventually, we would fade away, as all civilizations do. So we created these libraries scattered throughout the galaxy, waiting for new species to discover them and carry on our work. The image changed to show the construction of dozens of structures like the one they were standing in, each one hidden in remote regions of space where only the most advanced explorers would find them. The knowledge contained in this repository represents the combined wisdom of 47 different civilizations. Technologies that can reshape matter, energy systems that draw power from the fabric of space itself, medical techniques that can extend life far beyond natural limits, and, most importantly, the principles of cooperation that allowed us to work together despite our differences. Kevin was frantically recording everything, his hands shaking with excitement. Captain, this is the greatest discovery in human history. The technologies they're describing, they're exactly what we've been developing on our own. Not on our own, Rebecca realized suddenly. We've been guided. The exotic materials we found, the energy sources, even the region of space we ended up in, it was all designed to prepare us for this moment. The Keeper's message continued. Your species shows great promise. You have learned to work together under extreme adversity, to innovate when faced with impossible challenges, and to maintain your humanity even as you transcend your original limitations. These are the qualities that define a civilization worthy of joining the greater galactic community. Joining? Lisa whispered. The choice is yours, the Keeper said, as if responding to her question. You may take what knowledge you wish and return to your homeworld, becoming the guardians of this wisdom for your species. Or you may choose to remain here, to study and grow, preparing for the day when you will encounter others who, like you, have found their way to the stars. The hologram faded, leaving the team standing in stunned silence. Around them, thousands of information crystals pulsed gently, each one containing knowledge that could advance human civilization by centuries. Captain, Tommy said quietly, I think we just became the most important people in human history. Rebecca looked around at her crew, the 43 humans who had started as lost researchers and had become something far greater. They weren't just survivors anymore, or even pioneers. They were now the keepers of galactic knowledge, the bridge between humanity and civilizations that spanned the stars. 3 years after disappearing into the void, the ship that returned to Earth's solar system bore almost no resemblance to the research vessel Pathfinder that had departed with such hope and ceremony. Captain Rebecca Stone stood on the bridge of what could only be described as humanity's first truly advanced starship. Watching as Earth grew larger on the main viewing screen, the vessel that approached Earth was a masterpiece of engineering that seemed to bend the laws of physics. Its hull gleamed with materials that shifted color like oil on water, while crystalline structures along its surface pulsed with energy that made the space around it shimmer. The ship moved without any visible exhaust or propulsion, gliding through space as effortlessly as a fish through water. Captain, we're receiving multiple hail requests from Earth Defense Command, reported Lieutenant David Park, his voice carrying a mixture of amusement and nervousness. They're asking us to identify ourselves and explain our ... Unconventional. Approach vector, Rebecca smiled. 3 years ago, she would have been following standard communication protocols and requesting permission to enter Earth space. Now, piloting a ship that could travel between galaxies, such procedures seemed quaint. Open a channel to Earth Defense Command, she ordered. This is Captain Rebecca Stone of the research vessel Pathfinder, requesting permission to dock with Luna Station. The response came immediately, filled with static and confusion. Unknown vessel, please verify your identity. The research vessel Pathfinder was lost 3 years ago with all hands. If this is some kind of joke— It's no joke, Rebecca replied calmly. We're coming home. Dr. Kevin Walsh joined her on the bridge, carrying a datapad that contained enough scientific knowledge to revolutionize human civilization. Captain, I've been monitoring Earth's communication networks. The memorial service for our crew was beautiful. My wife gave a speech about how we died pursuing humanity's greatest dream. Well, she wasn't wrong about the dream part, Rebecca said. Tommy, what's our status? Chief Engineer Tommy Rodriguez looked up from his control station, which bore no resemblance to anything that had existed on the original Pathfinder. Instead of mechanical switches and displays, his station was composed entirely of crystalline interfaces that responded to thought as much as touch. All systems are running perfectly, Captain. The new hull can withstand anything Earth's defense systems could throw at us, but I don't think it will come to that. They're more curious than hostile. They should be curious, added Dr. Lisa Chun, who was monitoring the ship's external sensors. Captain, there are over 300 vessels surrounding us right now. Military ships, research vessels, news drones. Half of Earth's space fleet is out there trying to figure out what we are. Rebecca looked around at her bridge crew. These 43 people had become something extraordinary during their time in deep space. They moved with a confidence and purpose that came from having faced the impossible and emerged victorious. More importantly, they had learned to work together in ways that seemed almost telepathic. Dr. Hayes, how is the crew handling the return? Rebecca asked that Dr. Jennifer Hayes consulted her medical scanner, a device that had evolved far beyond anything Earth's doctors could imagine. Everyone is healthy and excited, Captain. The families we've started out there are especially eager to show their children the world their parents came from. It was true. During their time in deep space, 8 couples had married and 6 children had been born. These children were unlike any humans who had ever existed, enhanced by exotic radiation, raised in artificial gravity that could be adjusted at will, and educated with knowledge from 47 different alien civilizations. Captain, we're being escorted to Luna Station, David reported. The Defense Command wants us to dock at Bay 12 for extensive security screening, Rebecca laughed. Security screening? They have no idea what they're dealing with, do they? Should we tell them? Tommy asked with a grin. Let's show them instead. As the Pathfinder approached Luna Station, every person in the solar system who had access to a video screen was watching. The news networks had interrupted their regular programming to broadcast humanity's first contact with what appeared to be an alien vessel. Not knowing that the aliens were actually their own lost explorers, the docking procedure itself was a spectacle. Instead of the careful mechanical process that Earth ships required, the Pathfinder simply flowed into the docking bay like liquid metal, its hull adapting to create a perfect seal with the station's airlock. The ship's exotic matter generators adjusted the local gravity and atmosphere to match Luna Station's requirements automatically. This is Luna Station control to unknown vessel, came a nervous voice over the communication system. Please power down all weapons and prepare for boarding by security teams. We don't have weapons, Rebecca replied truthfully. And you're welcome to come aboard, but I should warn you, you might want to bring your best scientists. An hour later, Rebecca found herself in Luna Station's main conference room, facing a panel of admirals, scientists, and government officials who looked like they had seen a ghost. Which, in a way, they had. Admiral Patricia Ross, the commander of Earth's Defense Forces, stared at Rebecca with an expression of complete bewilderment. Captain Stone, according to our records, you and your crew died 3 years ago when your ship was lost in an asteroid field. Yet here you are, piloting A vessel that our best engineers can't even begin to understand. We were lost, Admiral. But we found something out there that changed everything. Rebecca activated a holographic projector that she had built using Keeper technology. The room filled with images of the exotic region of space where they had spent 3 years, showing the mining operations, the energy collectors, and finally, the ancient alien repository. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to tell you that humanity is not alone in the universe. More than that, we've been invited to join a community that spans the galaxy. The room erupted in excited chatter, but Admiral Ross raised her hand for silence. Captain, this is an extraordinary claim. You're asking us to believe that you've made contact with alien civilizations. Not contact, Admiral. We've inherited their legacy. Dr. Michael Chun, Earth's leading xenobiologist and coincidentally Lisa's husband, leaned forward in his chair. Rebecca, can you prove any of this? Rebecca smiled and activated another function of her projector. Suddenly, the room's lighting improved dramatically, the air became fresher, and everyone present felt a subtle but noticeable increase in their energy levels. I just activated a small atmospheric processor based on Keeper technology, Rebecca explained. It's analyzing the molecular composition of the air in this room and optimizing it for human biology. Your oxygen levels are now perfect. Old toxins have been filtered out, and the trace minerals that enhance human brain function have been added. Dr. Chen pulled out his scanner and nearly dropped it when he saw the readings. This is impossible. The air quality in this room just became better than anything we can achieve on Earth. That's just the beginning, Rebecca said. Tommy, would you like to demonstrate our manufacturing capabilities? Tommy Rodriguez, who had remained quiet until now, reached into his pocket and pulled out what looked like a small metal cube. He placed it on the conference table and pressed one side. The cube immediately began to unfold and reshape itself, growing larger and more complex until it became a perfect scale model of Luna Station, complete with tiny moving parts and flickering lights. Programmable matter, Tommy explained casually. We can reshape any material at the molecular level. This little demonstration used trace elements I collected from the air in this room. The government officials sat in stunned silence. Finally, Admiral Ross found her voice. Captain Stone, what do you want from us? Nothing, Admiral. We want to give you something. The knowledge we've gained represents thousands of years of scientific advancement. Clean, unlimited energy, materials stronger than anything in our solar system, medical technology that could eliminate most diseases and extend human lifespan indefinitely. And the catch? Asked Dr. Elena Rodriguez, Earth's Secretary of Science. No catch, but there is a responsibility. This knowledge comes with the expectation that humanity will use it wisely, that we'll continue to explore and learn, and that someday, when we're ready, we'll help other species who find themselves lost in the darkness between stars. Rebecca looked around the room at the faces of Earth's leaders. She could see the wheels turning in their minds, calculating the implications of what she was offering. How long would it take to share this technology with Earth? Admiral Ross asked. We've already begun, Rebecca replied. My crew is currently uploading our complete database to Earth's scientific networks. Within hours, every university, research institution, and government laboratory on the planet will have access to technologies that will change everything. And your crew? Are you staying on Earth? Rebecca paused, thinking of the families that had been formed in deep space, the children who had been born among the stars, and the vast alien repository that still held countless secrets waiting to be discovered. Some of us will stay to help integrate the new technologies. Others will return to continue our work among the stars. Earth is our home, but the galaxy is our future.